We're turning now to one of our top stories that some might call stranger than fiction. A half-dozen Connecticut teens have been arrested for posting threatening clown messages on social media directed at schools and college campuses. It is a national nuisance centered on creepy clowns, causing a lot of chaos in communities, not to mention weighing pretty heavily on police departments. So joining me now to react to this dark internet craze is Scott Driscoll, a former police officer and internet safety expert. Scott, thanks so much for being here today.
My pleasure.
Okay, so we've got like 3 teen girls arrested for this thing. What is your message to kids out there who might be tempted to be part of this viral internet sensation?
Well, I think when things go viral, we have to be careful in what we join into, especially on this, and we're seeing that there's consequences for our actions. Some of the programs allow us to be anonymous, but we're still seeing consequences. And I think what young people have to realize is we're responsible for the words we say. And if they cross the line and they break the law, even though you might think you're anonymous, these cases have proven there's ways we can find it and we can be held accountable.
Yeah, we regularly see investigators catch up with online culprits, but it seems like young people think that they can like skirt through the law and not be found.
Well, I think a lot of the problems is all they see is a screen. A lot of times we think we're just talking to a screen or no one's going to find me because I'm mobile. That's not the case at all. And sometimes when we say words, sometimes they're meant to be mean, sometimes they're not. When we say it to a screen, we don't see the impact of our words. And this case is a great example of how something could be misunderstood, or we think we're going to get away with something because we're anonymous and the facts show we're not.
How do we start the conversation with our children? How do we check in on them and make sure they're doing the right thing when they're online? Because it's so hard these days to keep up.
I think a lot of parents are intimidated because the kids understand technology maybe a little better than we do.
Sure, yeah.
We understand safety. So what I always say, let's try to meet in the middle. What I think this should start with is talking to our children about being responsible for their words and actions, and then as parents, learning about the programs our children are on. Have a nice conversation. Hey, I'm not going to take them away from you, but show me what programs you're on. Are they age appropriate? Are you using it appropriately? And who are you communicating with? A lot of times we see that we think it's not our child, when on these situations, a great example could be if I think a comment like this is funny and I hit forward or share, I'm just as responsible for spreading the word as the person who created it. So I think we got to have the conversation of being responsible.
And do you think it's okay to take your kid's phone and say, hey, this is a device we share, let me look into this thing?
Absolutely. Especially as they get older, it's more of a challenge, but there's no law as parents that we have to provide our kids with the top of the line data and give them unlimited access to it. I think it's a family journey. Technology is going to be around for a while. I think we have to get in control over it, and I think as a parent we have every right to see what our kids are doing.
It's a little frightening, the havoc caused by any kind of post or threat. How challenging is it for law enforcement in these cases?
It's a challenge, it lays, because a lot of times people will say, arrest that person, and if it doesn't fall under our state statute of threatening, we can't arrest somebody if a law hasn't been violated. The social media companies have been working very greatly working a lot better with law enforcement these days because they don't want to see these things happen, especially when there's kids involved or violence involved. Can they be solved? Absolutely. Are they the easiest crimes? Not always, but we're seeing more and more companies work with us, and we're seeing more and more officers that are doing a fantastic job on investigating these.
All right, Scott Driscoll, thanks so much for your insight today. We sure appreciate it.
My pleasure, anytime.
All right. There's much more still ahead today at 5.
To talk to the doctors to make